Micah Goguen here, and he is going to show us how to make these vintage illustrations that are framed in a kind of marbly thing. I mean, there's a lot going on, and you promised me it's all very easy.
It is. It's very easy. And I like it because it makes just a soft ornamental gift for someone. But these frosted vintage botanicals are very simple to make. And let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right. So you're just going to take a simple wooden frame. These have the self-supporting so they can stand up, or you can put hanging hardware on the back and actually hang it on the wall. But we're going to start off by just taking a couple of colors. I wanted something soft and neutral, so I'm kind of going with a colorful gray. I've just got like a Payne's gray and an off-white. And I'm just going to use a brush and just kind of marl the colors together. So
you're not like flat mixing it. You're actually wanting to get a color that sort of isn't. And by the way, that Payne's gray, this happens to me every time. It totally looks like it's black until you pull it out, and then I go, oh, it's just really dark blue.
Correct. And I like the subtle blue tone on it. It just kind of makes it like a gray with a little hint of color. But yes, I do want to get variations of both light and dark. You could choose to have it solid. It's total personal preference. So we're just
You're using a pretty big brush, so this is going pretty fast.
I am. You always want to pick a tool for the job. So we want to pick a nice brush that grabs the color. And so I'm just really slapping it on. It's making it effortless to go across. And so I'm going to just get a base coat. I want to do the inside grooves and the edges here as well. So I'm going to continue on with that.
It's all those little details that really make your project look and feel wonderfully finished.
Amazing. Well, I've got one here that is completed, and so I'm going to just kind of move on with that. Once it's dried, and you do want to make sure that it's dried so it's adhered to the board a little bit, but also the paint keeps the wood from being so quote-unquote thirsty because the wood just soaks up material. So now I'm going to work with some marbling paints, and we've got a pan here that's half filled with water, and I'm going to pick some colors, and particularly because I'm going for this vintage kind of soft look, I'm going to do neutrals and I'm going to do opaques. And so I'm going in with some black.
You're just dumping that color right in the water. Now these are paints that are made for marbling, so they're actually going to float on the surface as opposed to sinking to the bottom, which a normal paint would do.
Correct. And you've got an open time of about a minute to activate. So
go, 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 go,
yep.
go, go, go.
And I'm going to take just the tip of my brush and just...
I was going to say, this is a dual brush. You just use the back handle. I use the back of my brush for a lot of things. More often I put it in my mouth, which I know you're not supposed to do.
No, and I'm going to put a little bit more black in the center. You've still got that open time to just activate more color.
And that's pretty forgiving that you can keep adding to it then.
Correct. And swirl it in. And then I'm just going to hold this bad boy upside down. I'm going to place my fingers so that I'm just holding it so that I can just do a dunk and dive. So I've got it in here, and I'm just going to kerplunk.
I was going to say, those little metal prongs are helping you out there too. Wow.
Right.
That is cool.
Very effortless, and then I'm just going to lay it down to let it dry.
Now you're wearing gloves, and we're in a well-ventilated area as well.
Correct. It's a solvent-based, so it does have a little bit of you want to have an open atmosphere when you're doing it. And you can always take a tag and remove the excess. It just glides right off the water, and you've got fresh, clean water to move on to your next project if you wanted to dip again.
Plus, that's really cool garbage, frankly.
Correct. Now for us, what we're going to do is we're actually going to move on to the second component, which we're going to take some matte inkjet film. So matte means that it's translucent, not transparent, meaning you can somewhat see through it.
Okay.
And so I have taken a little bit of a vintage botanical print. These are etchings from the 1600s, and I've just printed it on there. They're copyright free. And I'm going to take the print, and I'm actually going to flip it over. So I'm going to be working on the back side of the film. So what I'm going to do is take...
it's almost like a frosted glass kind of thing.
It is, it is. You can still see through it, but just not very, very well. So I'm going to take these alcohol-based markers, and I'm just going to do some different colors. I think I'll start off with some blue. And these are dual tips. I'm going to use the thicker, more saturated tip. And real playful. I'm just depositing some color, just deposit.
So you don't care if you stay in the lines?
Yeah, I'm trying a little bit to stay in the lines, but it's not life or death.
I actually really like the look of like offset printing and stuff where you see that sort of dark outline slightly off. So I think this is a technique that would work whether you're a neat or a messy creator.
Correct. Well, I love the looseness of it, and I like being able to just capture some of the elements that are going through. So in the fine tip versus the large tip will give you different detail areas depending on what you're trying to cover. But it just floods the color out, and we're just depositing it on. And then what we're going to do, because I want multiple colors on here so that I can blend together.
Well, I mean, if it were up to me, I would use all the colors on everything. I don't know about you. Are you an all the colors kind of person?
I do like to explore with color. It's very fun, especially with these alcohol tendencies, because what we're going to do is we're going to dilute it with some of the rubbing alcohol so that once we get a full array of color on here with just a couple of specks, I'm going to take just some isopropyl alcohol, and I'm going to take one of my brushes here, and I'm just going to dip it in the alcohol, but I'm just dabbing off the surplus. Just clean that guy out.
I like that you're using whatever's available to you, so you're just cleaning your brush off in the water that you used to marble.
And just keep it going.
It's so soft, like watercolor now.
It is. And I'm just going to use the rubbing alcohol to blend and marry these colors together, and you'll see that not only is there a little merger of the color, but also it's just getting a soft bleed. If you have too much rubbing alcohol, it'll bleed and overlap the lines, and you'll get that offset printing look that you like. So you can play with it and explore different ways. Watch what happens to the butterfly here.
Well, how interesting that that brown almost looks green now that you're mixing it with the other colors. Color mixing is fascinating to me, and how things combine and separate.
And you can borrow color and you can deposit it on other things. So we're just going to go through and hit the little caterpillar that was hiding there.
So is there anything else we need to know about making this project right before we wrap up?
Yep. So you can embellish and do freehand color on the bottom, but next to cut it out and pop it in, we're going to actually use the insert from the frame, and we're going to outline it with a marker so that you can just
trace it, pop it out. That's so much easier than anything else. And by the time you're done, you have a beautiful piece of art to give, to keep. I love this idea, Micah. Thank you.